Hi everyone, my name is Heather Fernandez and I am the author of Sea of Forgiveness, Reasons Why Not to Forgive.
So, how did you come up with the idea of writing Sea of Forgiveness?
I came up with the idea of writing Sea of Forgiveness after I completed my first two books, which are not published as yet. And so God gave me the idea of writing this book about forgiveness because me, myself, I had to dig deep into the Sea of Forgiveness to forgive the love that I once loved. And so I came up with the idea of writing the book to teach others that they too can also forgive, even when it's hard to forgive, and even when the person does not deserve our forgiveness, we can still be able to forgive them.
So, is there a specific age group that your book is related to?
Actually, my book relates to every age group because for me, when I was going through my issues with my divorce and my life before divorce and during marriage and after marriage, heading down to divorce court, my three children were pretty much involved throughout the whole process, and they actually went through a topsy-turvy of the whole situation. So it really relates to men, women, children of all ages.
Well, I know you spoke on being able to forgive, but what is your book about?
We as people, we will normally do anything. Most of the times we find ourselves ending up in a situation where we would do anything just to feel love or to give love or just to be loved. And my book is about that journey that it takes where we end up going through it. We ask ourselves, like, how did we get here? What happened? So we go through that whole process of just doing anything just to feel love. That my book is about telling others that even when we go through that and we find ourselves in those situations, we can come out of it, and we can come out of it successfully. But the only way we really are going to come out of it is if we continue to seek God's strength and His mercy and His guidance, and that's the only way that we'll be able to come out of any situations that we might face where we have to forgive someone because of what they have done to us.
So, I read your book,
Thank you.
and I have to ask, was all of that true? And did all those things really happen? Because that's a lot. That's a lot.
Yes, all those things happened to myself, my children, and I. And yes, everything in that book is true. Every single thing that you read about, from the first page to the ending to page 152, is true. So, yes.
So, have you fully forgiven?
I would say I forgave him. Can I say I fully forgave him? No, because I realized in writing this book and even afterwards, I realized that forgiveness is an ongoing process. So I can't say that I have 100% forgiven him, but I have forgiven him. And like the Bible said, we have to forgive 70 times 7. So for me, it's an ongoing process because even today, I will get up and ask God to still teach me how to forgive him, how to let go of the pain that he has caused me, not to linger on it, but leave the revenge to God while I continue to learn to love him as my own brother.
Brother in Christ, correct?
Yes, my brother in Christ. Thank you. Yes.
Okay. Were you comfortable with sharing your personal life with the world when you wrote this book?
No, I was very uncomfortable as I wrote Sea of Forgiveness, sharing all my personal business with the entire world. And it was very uncomfortable for me. And I kept saying, God, I'm not comfortable with this. I'm really uncomfortable. And so He told me that me writing Sea of Forgiveness was not about me being comfortable or being uncomfortable, but it was actually about blessing other people, to let them know that sometimes we go through some rough things in life and some really bad things in life, not of our own choices but choices of someone else. But even though we may go through them, He will use everything that we go through to turn around all of those things for our good. He will actually work it out for our good, and He uses everything that we go through for a purpose. So once He allowed me to realize that, I not going to say that I became 100% comfortable, but I did feel a lot better. And so as I allowed him to talk to me, he just kept downloading.
You stated that you felt like you were losing yourself. Is that something you experienced during the writing process, or was it during the relationship, the marriage?
Yes, I did feel that way. I did not feel like I was losing myself as I wrote Sea of Forgiveness, but yes, before marriage, during marriage, and after marriage, heading to divorce court, I did feel like I was losing a lot of me. I became this person, I became this woman that I never was. I was never the cantankerous wife, and I started becoming that person. And I just started losing a lot of me. I started losing my mind. I was losing who I am. I just was losing everything. So yes, I only experienced that during my marriage.
So, how damaging would you say it is to pretend that you are happy in public about being with someone, but behind closed doors, it's a completely different story? And even your faith, like, was your faith in God tested in that? Let's answer that first. Was your faith in God tested?
For me, I actually asked God, like, why did you create me? Did you really create me on earth for me to go through this? Because if that's the case, I really didn't want to be here. My faith was also tested while I went through it, because I kept saying, God, listen, I asked you, to give me a good husband, and he actually seemed like the perfect gentleman, and here I am going through all of this. So God is like, what, are you trying to set me up? Was I wrong? Did I really hear from you? All these questions were coming through my mind, and yeah, your faith get tested. I mean, even as Christians, I don't think any Christian out there could actually say, or anyone who has a relationship with God can actually say that their faith was not tested as they went through different trials and tribulations. So yes, my faith was tested in many, many, many ways, where, like I said, like I just mentioned, I asked God, like, if you really created me on this earth for me to go through this and to experience all this pain, then I really don't want to be here.
Interesting. So, how damaging do you think it is to pretend in public about being happy, but behind closed doors, you're actually experiencing something completely different?
Pretending to be someone, or pretending that you are someone that you are not, is very, very dangerous. I mean, I used to go to church when I was married. I used to go to church, and I would actually be at church, and there's this song that said, I won't hurt you with words from my mouth. I love you. I need you. And I remember there was many times I was standing across from my ex-husband, and we were singing that song, and tears were flowing through my eyes. And I'm quite sure that people in front of me or behind me or next to us in the same row thought that I was just in the spirit. But no, I was not in the spirit. I was crying, because here I am in public. We look like the perfect couple, the perfect family. But behind closed door, I was screaming inside of me. Seeing that inside of me, I was actually crying. I was actually screaming for help, like, God, help me. This is just too much. How can I go to church every Sunday and pretend that we're this perfect family? And eventually that just started eating me up mentally. I felt like I was really going crazy. And there were many times I felt like I just wanted to admit myself to the psych ward, because I needed some sort of help. I needed someone to talk to. I needed someone. And yes, we said we talk to God and talk to God about everything, tell God all about your troubles. But I felt like I really needed a trained professional to really tell me, what is it that I need to do? How can I find myself again? How can I regain my strength? How can I regain the love that I should have had for myself? And so yes, it is a dangerous position to really pretend to be who you're not, because eventually that eats you up. That hurts you sometimes even more than the pain you feel from the person who you have to learn how to forgive.
So, did this marriage bring you any closer to God, or did you find a little bit of resentment when it came to building or rebuilding a relationship with God?
This marriage brought me closer to God, because at that time when I was going through it with my ex-husband, I felt that he was mean, because every time I asked him for help, he would say he didn't have it, and even if he had it, he would have never give it to me. And so each time, it was not till I was writing Sea of Forgiveness that I really got the opportunity to say, wow, God, he was really teaching me how to depend on you, because every time he told me no, he would not give me an extra $20 or an extra $5. I had to really learn how to trust God, even when I didn't see it, even when I didn't know how he was going to pay the after school fee for my daughter, even when I didn't know how it was the next bus fare or how the next grocery bill was going to be paid. I had to learn how to trust God because he wasn't giving it to me. So yes, I developed a closer relationship. And when you have no other option like I did, I really literally had no other option. Yes, I have family, but I didn't want to bother my family, because you know what happened? Eventually, family will get tired of you. So if you call up your sister today and you call up your brother tomorrow, they're going to get tired of you every time you're asking. And don't forget, they got their own issues. So yes, I had no choice but to learn how to depend on God.
So, is it safe to say, I'm assuming, that what the enemy meant for evil, God turned around for your good?
Oh, yes. Yes. That is so true. Yes. I personally lived that. Yes.